Well, what inspired me to do music from a very young age on, I believe, was just the fact that music was a part of my life. Music was a part of my daily existence. My father sang, he was a musician, and my mother sang, and she played many instruments, and it was just my upbringing. It was very interesting because I really thought that everyone everyone else, that was their existence as well. I didn't know that other kids didn't have instruments in their house. Just, we had like a couple of pianos, and we had some guitars and violins, and things that were, I thought, normal until I realized later that not everybody had that luxury, and I didn't even think of it as a luxury. I thought of it as, I didn't think of it. It was just there. It was just part of me. And I stuttered when I was younger. I was horribly shy, and so in order for me to speak clearly, I was an early reader, and so I would read out loud, and when that, I ended up becoming very slow in the sense of I would try to speak very clearly. Then I realized, well, what comes naturally to me? Singing. And so I could sing. And if I made my voice more melodic, it was easier for me to not get so tongue twisted, and easier for me to get the words out how they came to in my mind. Because for someone who stutters, you have to change the word. You have to find another word to replace the one you cannot say. I still have some issues, but it's not as prevalent, and people don't ever notice it. There was some songs that he would sing, and there were songs he would sing to me, and I thought they were my songs. Yeah. So, for instance, there was "You Are My Sunshine," and he would sing that to me, and forever I thought that was my song. And then watching, being a kid of of the '80s, watching a lot of television, I realized, well, there we go. That Oscar Mayer and all those people, they took my dad's song, these different. Anyway, years later, though, when I think it was the very first time I opened for B.B. King, he would, in his set, he would play "You Are My Sunshine," and the very first time he played it, oh Lord, did I cry. My God, I have to be honest. Well, not everybody's going to know, but I would say about a year or two before I opened for him, I had a dream, and I will have dreams of my father, and it'll be like a visitation. But this time, I knew it was my father, but he was in disguise as B.B. King. And I thought, well, what's going on? And I kept thinking later, well, maybe I had that dream and I knew it was him, but he was singing our song. So he was singing our song, "You Are My Sunshine." And in the dream, he was on stage, and I had to, I'm so short, so I had to look past all these heads to see my dad perform the song, and the crowd just opened up. They saw it was me, like they knew me. I thought, this is bizarre. Anyway, so a couple of years later, I got a phone call asking me if I would be interested in opening for B.B. King. And it was phenomenal, of course. Yes. I mean, my neighbor, everybody would want to do that. So, and, well, the first time I opened for him and he played that song, my dream, exactly.
It was your dream.
It was my dream. The people looked at me, but of course they recognized me. I had just performed. And so realizing I'm short, I'll say petite, they stepped aside. The crowd opened up. I was able to see him, and he looked at me and he smiled and winked and sang, "You Are My Sunshine." Well, the album title, "Thou Art That," was inspired by a painting I did. And when I made the painting, originally I was reading something that the great Buddha said in his explaining of who we are and it was very beautiful. And basically I took the title "Thou Art That." I made it that. And it basically means that we are that which we already are, and we are born into who we already are and are meant to be. We are always that. Even when we forget who we are, because most of us have. And even though there is so much turmoil in our world, and every day, I mean, you could just have a bad day and that you could be bad enough for, you know, there is always that within us that each of us as humans around this globe, we all share. And our human spirit, our sacredness, is such power. We hold in us ancient wisdom and ancient powers that we haven't even yet, we have not yet explored at all. For myself personally, it's a self-exploration. These songs are like a diary. It's part of a journal that I've put together in a sense of my music throughout the years. And some of the songs I've written years ago, and some of them are very new. And I believe I placed them in the album in such a way that it tells a story if you're willing to listen. And it's like a journey, I guess you could say. Well, it's the most simplest thing. I believe in just being kind, because I think when we respect each other, and you don't have to like the person you're sitting next to, but if you're a kind enough person to give this other person, to see them and to know that, yes, we have our differences, we can still be in the same room together, and we don't need to hate each other. Well, let me think. I would say it would be the emotion that I'm feeling at that moment. And right now, I would say it would be the single that we're releasing, which is Goody Two Shoes. And it's a funky groove. It's awesome. I have a bass solo on it. And the reason I'm feeling that song right now is just because it's a song about being kind to others. And the lyrical content is, you know, be a goody two-shoe, give away your two shoes. And basically what I mean to say by that is care a little bit. You don't need to literally give somebody your shoes, but it would be nice if the entire world did have a good pair of shoes. I mean, I think it would be. Well, my family comes first, and I believe that when I show my daughters how I behave as a woman and behave as a mother and as a person, that I would hope one day they look to emulate in some way, and I do a good job. Therefore, I like them to see that I do what I love to do, and I hope to encourage them to succeed in whatever it is that they would love to do, and not have to sit at a desk unless that's what they choose to do. And I hope that they see me and as a role model, and think I'm doing a pretty good job, because I hope that they're happy. They're the most honest individuals. And what's really funny is how they're just kind of like, yeah. Oh, that was, yeah, it was good, Mom. No, you did good, you know, or they will laugh about something, or the fact that they know my lyrics better than I do. So if I'm singing and I mess up on a line or something, they will let me know later. Well, I I think from very early on, I always had a very high voice. And when I sang in choir as a small girl, I was a soprano. I worked really hard to want to sing like my father, and he had this beautiful voice. And then I heard voices, like Etta James, and I thought I want to sing like that. And then I heard the range of Ella Fitzgerald, and I thought, well, I want to do that. And she's like an untouchable, And I just thought, oh my God, So I think I trained my voice early on to emulate other voices, and it helped my muscles. I mean, it's like I've got the Arnold Schwarzenegger of vocal cords. Well, I sleep with a humidifier. I don't use perfumes. I use things like oils that have scents. I do my best to eat as clean a diet as possible. I drink mostly only water or tea. I do have alcohol on occasion, and sometimes before I sing, just so I can loosen up. And then sleeping is important. Obviously, no smoking. And no screaming. I do belt. I get very loud, but it's more of a thing that I build up. And I don't recommend just abruptly screaming, because you can hurt yourself. Warming my voice up, and being a good listener, because sometimes you just need to be quiet. Well, I'd say I've got listeners from pretty young. I guess some listeners, I have some fans that are probably in their early teens. I have a fan that gave me one of her stuffed animals at a concert, and then I have some fans that are, I'd say fairly old in their body, but young in spirit. I have this one young lady, I'd say she's about 90. I hope I don't want to age her too much, but she's this lovely person who comes to all of my shows when she can, and she dances. And I thought, this woman is so drunk all the time. And she laughed. She told me one night, she goes, everybody always thinks I'm drunk. I'm just happy to be alive. And okay, this is one of the songs from the album, and it's Into the Mouth of the Serpent. And I wrote this song for my daughter. It was a cold, foggy, snowy morning, and I pushed you through the snow. The rocks beneath my shoes, making me walk crooked, don't you know? So that's just a little, it's a little bit of that one's the song that, oh. I will say right now, because I'm just feeling her, Miss Billie Holiday. The reason I say her is because I feel that when I was a young lady growing up, I could always listen to some of her songs and just, she had so much pain, and she had so much beauty from that pain that it gave me hope, because I knew that she had a tumultuous childhood, and I knew that her life, I mean, I read her book, and I knew that she had been in and out of jail and accused of things that she didn't do, and she had some habits that weren't healthy, and but through all of that pain, all that suffering, even in the happiest songs that she sang, you can hear that it was she had to literally channel that and force that out of her soul to find the beauty in all of that. Let's see, if I were to describe this album in 3 words, how would I describe it? Well, I could just say the title, Thou Art That. That would be too easy. How about My Best Yet? You can find me at SayedSabrina, and I have a show coming up in September at Agora Hills, the Canyon Club. That's September 5th. You can find tickets at Ticketmaster. And please don't forget, my album comes out August 8th. That's this Thursday. The album is Thou Art That. I am Sayed Sabrina, and I really hope you enjoy it.